Few artists can sell out a stadium. Even fewer can do it 5 nights in a row. But this week, Bruno Mars did something that has fans, critics, and the music industry talking for a completely different reason. The global superstar just wrapped up a historic 5-night sold-out run at Toronto's Rogers Stadium as part of his ongoing romantic tour. Yet surprisingly, it wasn't the massive crowds, the dazzling production, or the record-breaking attendance numbers that became the biggest story. Instead, it was one unexpected song choice that changed the entire conversation. What started as a celebration of a historic concert series quickly became an emotional moment that many fans say revealed a different side of Bruno Mars. The video was only 41 seconds long, but its impact was far greater. Shortly after concluding his final Toronto performance, Bruno Mars released a cinematic recap video titled 5 Nights in Toronto. The clip featured highlights from the unforgettable stadium run, showing thousands of fans singing, dancing, and lighting up the venue throughout the week. The footage captured everything audiences would expect from a world-class performer: massive stage visuals, emotional crowd reactions, stadium-wide sing-alongs, and the kind of energy that only comes from an artist operating at the peak of his career. Yet one detail stood out immediately. Instead of choosing one of his biggest hits as the soundtrack for the recap, Bruno Mars selected Nothing Left, a track that many longtime fans consider one of the most underrated songs in his catalog. Within hours, social media platforms were flooded with reactions. Fans weren't just discussing the concerts anymore, they were talking about the meaning behind the music. Music critic Daniel Harper, who has covered major touring artists for more than a decade, described the decision as unusually personal. Most artists use their biggest records to reinforce a successful tour narrative, Harper explained. Choosing a lesser-known song suggests there may have been an emotional connection to the moment rather than a marketing strategy. That observation quickly resonated with fans. For years, Bruno Mars has built a reputation as one of the most reliable hitmakers in modern music. Songs like Uptown Funk, 24K Magic, and That's What I Like became global anthems and helped define entire eras of pop music. Because of that success, audiences have grown accustomed to seeing the performer through the lens of chart dominance and commercial achievement. But the Toronto recap felt different. The song choice shifted the focus away from records and numbers. Instead, it highlighted emotion, and fans noticed immediately. Across social media, many described the video as a love letter to Toronto rather than a victory lap celebrating sold-out shows. Others pointed to the video's final moments, where the stadium lights merged with the glow of thousands of phones held high by fans. Combined with the softer tone of Nothing Left, the sequence created an atmosphere that felt reflective rather than triumphant. Entertainment journalist Sarah Collins believes that may have been intentional. Bruno Mars has always understood how to connect with audiences emotionally, Collins said. What's interesting here is that he accomplished it without speaking a single word. The song selection did all the storytelling. That storytelling became even more significant when considering the scale of what had just happened. 5 consecutive sold-out nights at Rogers Stadium is not an ordinary accomplishment. Today's live music industry, where competition for audience attention is stronger than ever, maintaining that level of demand across multiple stadium performances is exceptionally rare. Industry analysts note that achieving consistent attendance over 5 nights requires more than popularity. It requires trust. Fans must believe that every performance will deliver a memorable experience. And according to those who attended the Toronto shows, Bruno Mars exceeded expectations night after night. Concert-goers described an atmosphere that balanced spectacle with intimacy. Even inside a massive stadium, many fans reported feeling personally connected to the performance. That connection has become one of the defining characteristics of the romantic tour. Unlike some large-scale productions that rely heavily on visual effects, Bruno Mars continues to place audience interaction at the center of the experience. Throughout the Toronto run, videos shared online showed fans singing entire choruses back to the stage, dancing in the aisles, and reacting to spontaneous moments that made each night feel unique. Music producer Michael Grant believes this ability separates Bruno Mars from many of his contemporaries. Technology can enhance a concert, Grant said, but emotional connection is what creates lasting memories. Bruno understands that better than almost anyone performing today. Perhaps that's why the recap video resonated so strongly. Rather than showcasing elaborate stage mechanics or production budgets, the footage focused largely on people, faces in the crowd, hands in the air, moments of joy, moments of disbelief, moments of gratitude. The result felt less like an advertisement and more like a memory. For longtime fans, the inclusion of Nothing Left carried additional significance. The song has often been described as one of the hidden gems within Bruno Mars' body of work. While it never achieved the mainstream recognition of his biggest singles, it remains highly respected among dedicated listeners for its emotional depth and vulnerability. Using that song in a video commemorating a major career milestone sent a subtle but powerful message. Success was only part of the story. The human experience behind that success mattered too. And that interpretation quickly gained momentum online. Some fans speculated that the song represented gratitude. Others believed it symbolized reflection after an intense series of performances. Many simply appreciated hearing a less celebrated track receive renewed attention. Whatever the intended meaning may have been, the response demonstrated the power of artistic choices that feel authentic. In an era dominated by algorithms, trends, and viral moments, authenticity remains one of the most valuable currencies in entertainment. The Toronto recap appeared to tap directly into that reality. Interestingly, industry observers have noted that the video's success also reflects a broader shift in audience expectations. Today's fans increasingly seek emotional transparency from artists. They want moments that feel genuine. They want stories behind the performances. They want glimpses of humanity beyond the spotlight. The 41-second video delivered exactly that, without interviews, without explanations, without promotional messaging, just music and memories, and perhaps that's what made it so effective. As discussions continued online, another theme began to emerge. Many fans viewed the recap as evidence of Bruno Mars' evolving artistic identity. For years, he's been celebrated primarily for his extraordinary talent as a performer and entertainer. Now, some observers believe audiences are increasingly recognizing his strengths as a storyteller. Every creative decision in the Toronto video appeared deliberate. The packing, the visuals, the transitions, the song together, they formed a narrative that felt emotionally complete despite its brief runtime. Veteran music writer James Reynolds described the recap as an example of modern visual storytelling at its best. "You don't need 10 minutes to tell a meaningful story," Reynolds said. "Sometimes 40 seconds is enough if every element serves a purpose." The timing of the video's release also contributed to its impact. Coming immediately after the conclusion of the Toronto run, it allowed fans to relive the experience while emotions were still fresh. For those who attended, it served as a reminder of unforgettable nights. For those who missed the shows, it offered a glimpse into what made the performances special. And for casual observers, it provided a compelling reason to pay attention. That broad appeal helped the video spread rapidly across multiple platforms. Reaction clips, commentary videos, and fan discussions soon followed. Some focused on the concerts themselves, others focused entirely on the music selection. Together, they transformed a simple tour recap into one of the week's most talked-about entertainment stories. As the romantic tour continues, expectations remain extraordinarily high. Each new stop will inevitably be compared to the success of Toronto. But regardless of what happens next, the Canadian run has already secured a unique place within the tour's narrative, not just because of attendance records, not just because of sold-out crowds, but because of the emotional resonance it created. Years from now, fans may not remember every production detail from those 5 nights. They may not remember every statistic. They may not remember every headline, but many will likely remember how that short video made them feel. And in the entertainment industry, that kind of impact is often more valuable than any record. As the final images faded from the screen and the words, "Thank you Toronto," appeared, the message seemed clear. This wasn't merely a celebration of success. It was an acknowledgement of connection, a recognition of shared experiences between an artist and his audience. And perhaps that explains why one song changed everything. Because sometimes the biggest moments aren't the loudest ones. Sometimes they arrive quietly, hidden inside a melody wrapped in memory, and delivered at exactly the right time. Bruno Mars made history in Toronto, but it wasn't the record-breaking crowds that captured people's hearts, it was a song. A simple, unexpected song that transformed a concert recap into something much bigger. A reminder that behind every sold-out stadium, every headline, and every historic achievement, music still has the power to make millions of people feel something real. And that may be Bruno Mars' greatest accomplishment of all. What makes the Toronto story even more remarkable is how quickly the conversation spread beyond Canada. Fans from the United States, Europe, Asia, and Latin America began sharing the recap video, turning a local concert achievement into a global trending moment. Many viewers admitted they had never paid much attention to Nothing Left before, but after hearing it in the Toronto montage, they returned to streaming platforms to listen again. That renewed interest highlights something rare in today's music industry. Most viral moments are driven by controversy, surprise announcements, or celebrity headlines. This one was driven by emotion. There was no dramatic reveal, no major announcement, no guest appearance. Just carefully selected memories paired with a song that seemed to capture the feeling of an unforgettable chapter coming to an end. Industry insiders say this is exactly why Bruno Mars continues to stand apart from many of his peers. While trends come and go, his ability to create genuine emotional connections remains consistent. Toronto may have witnessed 5 sold-out nights, but the impact of those performances is now reaching millions far beyond the stadium walls. And if the reaction to 5 nights in Toronto rose is any indication, the story of the romantic tour is far from over. In fact, it may have just entered its most memorable chapter yet.